And streaming is started.
Streaming is started.
It has begun. Yeah, I'll just give people some time to show up. And let me change the view. Yeah, so I'll give some people some time to show up. And at the same time, get myself set up. It says I'm live, which is good. I don't know. Yeah, I know. When you show up, people, someone say hi or hello or whatever. This thing always doesn't tell me when people are here. It'll say 0 watching, but there are people here. Like you, Jenny, hello. It says nobody's here, but clearly you're here. How are you? Yes, morning. I'm actually just going to start by doing some kind of warm-up stuff before I get into it. Hello, YLW31. Do I know you by another name, or is this like your first time here, or are you from the Slack or somewhere else? I'm awake since 4 a.m. trying to work on freelance. Jeez. Yeah, if I remember correctly, Jenny, you usually have some early hours, or I guess late, depending on how you look at it. But I think I remember you showing up to our streams, like our Google Hangouts, around a similar time. So good for you. Lots of coffee. Let's see, there's 5 people here. Okay. I mean, maybe 5, I don't know. I think I've gone over this before, but a lot of the time when I start out to warm up, I just do a lot of circles. I find it's just a nice little exercise to get my hand warmed up. I cover a bunch of warm-up techniques in my animal drawing class. Another one of them is plotting 2 points and trying to draw a straight line between them and continue to draw over them. This is just a good way to kind of get your hand and your brain working together. Because it's kind of frustrating when you sit down to draw and it feels like your hand is not yours. It feels like foreign and it's not operating the way you want it to. So a couple minutes of warm-up's pretty nice. This is my first time here. I'm new. Well, hello, Lee. Yeah, nice to have you here. And Taylor, hey. Nice to see you too. Those of you who are familiar to the stream, you'll notice that I am in a different place. I moved. And I think a bunch of you guys know Melissa too. She's in the back. She's working on some stuff. But yeah, this is our new place. So if things look different, that's why. For the first time in a long time, I'm not streaming from a bedroom. It's a living room this time. Yeah, another good exercise is just trying to draw straight lines and keeping the line straight and the space between them even. I find these a lot harder to do digitally because I'm just so used to pencil and paper, but since getting this new tablet, I'm starting to get comfortable with it, which is nice. Yeah, so welcome, guys. Thanks for coming. As usual, we're just kind of I kind of have like a project this time. Usually we just kind of doodle and talk about stuff, but today I actually have something that we can go through. I think many of you guys got either the newsletter or you got the message I put out on Skillshare, so you will know what that is. And it is this drawing here that I did. We're gonna take that and turn it into a final piece. This was something you guys asked for last month because we spent all this time creating a sketch, and then the stream was done. So I'm going to show you how to take a sketch like this, and we'll see how far we get. We're not going to get a completely final piece in an hour, especially since I'm going to be narrating and explaining things as I go. So we'll see how far we can get. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy it. At any point you have any questions, let me know. I can stop and explain things. We're going to be using a lot of the pen tool in Photoshop, which I think for a lot of people, I think a lot of you guys use Illustrator a lot. I know I've primarily used Illustrator over Photoshop, and so the pen tool is comfortable there, but not so much here. It can work pretty well here. And just for reference, I'm going to open up kind of what we're going for. Oops, I gotta find that. Here it is. So this is kind of the style that we're going for. So this is something that, you know, it looks like the flat shapes have been created inside of Illustrator, but you can pretty simply create these inside of Photoshop as well. Because usually, like, my workflow, and I create a class around this entire workflow, would be to start in Illustrator, make all the shapes there, and then bring those shapes into Photoshop to apply textures. But we can do it all inside of Photoshop. It's, you know, it's easier if that's your final destination. So how do I switch? There we go. So yeah, this will be my sketch. I'm gonna lower the opacity. I also just want to make sure that you guys can hear me fine, because I know previously my mic's been really quiet, so I really pumped it up this time. And yeah, I just want to make sure that, like, I'm not super quiet. Hey Tatiana. Great. Okay, cool. Yeah, I know I'm when I listen to the old recordings of the streams, it's like super quiet. Hey Blake. Hey man. You came. All right. So I'm going to. So what I'm really going to be doing is trying to create all these basic shapes as live shapes in Photoshop. And I'm using the pen tool. And in particular, I'm going to be using the curvature pen tool, which is kind of like a new thing to learn, but once you get it, I find it's like really quick. Blake, maybe you have experience with this. I'm pretty sure you do like all your stuff in Photoshop, or like now maybe a lot of it in Procreate. But this is like a new tool for me. Was it curvature or freeform? Curvature pen tool. But really what it kind of does is, like, you just kind of press points and it kind of turns them into round shapes as you click. And then you can, you know, readjust those curves. You can add more points to it. And you can also switch them between being curved and, like, yeah, just straight points. That's more or less how it works. Hey Anna. You've not used it. Okay. Well, hopefully this will be helpful for some of you guys. So let's pick a color that's easy to see behind the sketch. Right, so again, I'm using this in place of the, what do you call it? The pen tool in Illustrator. Does the pen tool work like the Illustrator one? There is a way to use it. Like, I think the normal pen tool is very similar to how it works in Illustrator. But for some reason, I don't find it as comfortable. Maybe it's because I usually in Illustrator, I use a lot of like the live corner options and stuff. But this one's actually, as you'll see, this is becoming quite handy for me. So like this big head shape, I just want it to be a single shape. So I'm just gonna click it. I'm just gonna, I'm holding Alt right now, just so it's straight lines. And I'm just gonna kind of put it in these corners. Then I'm letting go of Alt, and then holding it again. So I got a shape like this. And from here, I'm just gonna drag these straight lines out so they're a bit more round. I'll drag that out. And this is a bit in too much, so I'm gonna do that. I think I need one there. Oops. Just like learning the pen tool in Illustrator, This takes some time, but I think you'll find that it's pretty useful. Super cool wonky circle shapes. Getting some gloops. Karina, thanks a lot. That's very sweet to say. I'm glad you enjoyed my classes. So, yeah, as you can see with the tool, I was able to, let's just kind of create a shape like that. It's not perfect, but because this is a live shape, I can continue to play around with it and clean it up a bit. I think one thing I'm going to do is actually just make these not sharp cheeks, but kind of rounded like that. Yes, maybe I won't add that. I'll just delete that. I mean, that's more or less the shape. So there's an example of using the curvature pen tool pretty quick. It's what I've been using a lot recently, and I haven't been in Illustrator in quite some time. I like to name all my layers, so I'm just going to call that main head, I guess, or it's a body. I don't know, it depends how you look at it. This thing's really just a floating head. And then I usually like to kind of lock it so I'm not messing with it when I'm using the pen tool. And then now I can just kind of create some other shapes. So, you know, these eyeballs, for instance, this is a good example of using the curvature pen tool. Is I can just click like that, and it kind of makes a circle. And I can continue to adjust it until it's kind of what I want. That looks good. Let's make some more. And I don't have to drag out any of those handles that you get with the pen tool usually. Once you get comfortable with the curvature pen tool, it's actually, yeah, pretty good. Pretty quick, I find. And I imagine you can still use the normal pen tool to manipulate things afterwards. I also should mention that the colors I'm using right now are like not important. Usually when I'm just creating the shapes, I'll just use whatever colors are easy for me to see. So that will be like one of the later steps, is figuring out the colors after we've made all the basic shapes. Matt, you're the second one to ask if this is going to be available to watch later. Someone like emailed me earlier, and usually I've just been pulling out highlights and posting those, but I will post the whole thing. So I'll just, after this is done, I'll just upload the whole thing to YouTube and you can watch it. And yeah, it is really quick, Blake. So there are all of my eyeball shapes. Let me just remove the drawing so you can see them. And what I like about doing this too is, like, I could just use the ellipse tool and just draw out a circle, but that's so perfect. Like when I use the curvature tool, like they're a bit, like this one's a bit more oblong. They're not perfect circles, and I kind of like that. Makes it a little more hand done. Tatiana, I felt the same way. Yeah, I just didn't think that it was going to be ever easy for me to do this stuff in Photoshop, and now it is. And so one thing I like to do as well, just to make my life easier, is all of these shapes that I created. You'll notice every time I drew a new one, I put it on a new layer. I'm just going to merge all the shapes. Merge shapes, and we will call those eyeballs. Please don't stop doing this. Thanks, guys. What I'm going over today actually is something that I'm I'm planning on doing as a future class, something more in depth, and that would be covering not just, it would be like the sketch and then making the basic shapes and then deciding colors, adding line work, adding texture. So it'd be quite a long class, but I think it'd be a good one. He's actually gonna be a professional parkour person. No, Tatiana, this is my thing. I'm going to make another shape. Oops. I'm gonna change the color. And I don't know, maybe I wanna that's probably good. Yes to everything you say. Yeah, I'm just going to be layering these shapes in a certain way just to make it easier when I'm applying textures and stuff later on. So that's why this kind of a chin layer is on top of the head. It'll probably make more sense later on. Okay. Because I keep using different colors. So again, the colors I'm using, not important at all. I am just trying to make sure that I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And so you can see that like the shape I just made right here, it's not perfectly lining up with what I did, but that's where I get to kind of come in and I can start moving these points around and yeah, making sure. If I want to convert any of these to straight, I just hold Alt and click on them. So it's pretty easy to manipulate, so you don't got to get it perfect. Add another line. Another anchor there. That, like that. And that's pretty good. Save because that's important. I've seen some of your parkour clips on Instagram. Yeah, that's like, I guess what I do outside of the art stuff, or it's kind of my way of like not doing like art and design 24/7 because I've had periods of that and it just completely kills me if like all I'm doing is just drawing stuff. Okay, let's take a look. So again, I'm blocking out all the shapes that I think it's going to be helpful for me to have separated once I want to do things like add texture. And you'll remember with this piece here, like, yeah, like there's all this texture on each of these layers, so it'll be helpful to have them kind of overlap in certain ways. It's very similar to like Illustrator. I'm sure a lot of you guys you understand what I'm doing. Okay, so that will be the, I don't know, like upper mount, you could say. Actually, maybe I'll name this, let's keep it like that. I tried to choose something that is quick for us to do, but I always underestimate how long it takes to make stuff when I'm trying to explain it. So we'll see how far we get today. I think, but the good news is I think the most important thing for you guys to learn is what I'm doing right now, which is creating these shapes in Photoshop so that you don't have to go in Illustrator. Of course, like, you know, there's nothing wrong with doing that. Like, if you want to completely. Like I said, I have a whole class on it, and I find it quite useful. I even did like a creative nibble. Like I did like this 1 minute tutorial on YouTube. You can probably find it, and it shows you how to convert the layers that you have in Illustrator into Photoshop file with those layers. So it's actually a pretty seamless transition if you do it right. Okay, I'm gonna do this eyeball now. Oops. We'll make that a little bit easier if I just make it white. Eyeball. Right, Tatiana, yeah. I mean, there's a reason that I've been doing stuff this way right now. It's because, like you say, it does save time. Okay. So here's another cool thing that you can do. So I have this eyeball layer right here, this big white thing, and I want to subtract the top of the eyelid from it, like you would do usually with a Pathfinder in Illustrator. What I can do is I can change the way that the pen tool works to subtract the front shape, and so now I can actually draw another shape like this, and it will do that exact thing that I want. It subtracts it and it keeps it live. So when we just look at it, it's taken out, but I can still go in and I can still manipulate this layer if I wanted to. So very easy to work with. Oh, I see that I need to... that's gonna get covered up, it's not a big deal. Let's see. Oh my god. See, Tatiana, it's really helpful. Like, this works. And actually, points go to Melissa for showing me the curvature pen tool. She was the one who showed me how to use it. I was using just like the normal pen tool. Uh-oh. Guys, can you hear me fine? I think the connections... Do you have any connection issues?
I don't think so.
Mine is...
Just the internet?
Okay, I think it's back. Guys, are we still good? No, it buffered all... Okay, cool. We're good. Sweet. Let's go... I just want to see what some of you guys said. I'm losing the chat. Yeah, jetpacks, I mean, I just like get a lot of satisfaction out of organizing my layers and naming everything, because sometimes I do get like a lot of layers. Maybe I can even open up like one of the recent things I've been doing. Let's go to... choose the Ice Mage. Yeah, so like for this guy here, who is, again, a very similar process to what we're doing today. I just kind of used some different texture than I plan on doing today. But like I have all of these layers kind of named, and then all the blank layers are just texture layers. That's kind of my method, but yeah. It's kind of tedious, but man, it makes life so much easier if you name things. And again, like, now I can look back on my file and just be like, yeah, I'm pleased. But back to our beholder. All right. So the next thing I want is, oops, all right, I gotta put this back to new layer. Dun, 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 dun. Uh-oh. Did I lose? Ah, crap. Oops. That wasn't supposed to be a separate layer. It's okay. There we go. Don't mind me, guys, I'm having some issues with this layer. It just keeps making new layers. I'll change the color. This will make this easier to see and to manage. So you can probably kind of see what I'm trying to do now. It's that, like, you know, like the little like red part on the edges of your eyes. Any points to anybody who knows what that's called? How long am I going to stream? Dennis, the stream is usually an hour long, so usually would go to 1 p.m. Eastern time. I say that, but almost every time I go longer. Usually not a whole lot longer, like maybe an extra half an hour sometimes, but yeah, that's typically how long this goes. It all depends on like how I'm feeling after the first hour, because this takes a lot out of me. But as I've mentioned earlier, I'm going to be uploading the stream afterwards to YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it if you miss anything, or go back and view stuff. So we can already see like all the shapes. Tatiana, this I don't think I'm gonna have time to do that, because I don't even think we'll get that far into this. But that's probably that's usually what we do, and we'll probably go back to that like next month when we do the stream. But I really want to make sure like I show some stuff that isn't just sketching. You haven't had time. All right, so you have a whole month to prepare a prompt for next time. It'll be tough to beat lactose, but I think you can do it. Again, if you guys have any questions about what I'm doing at any point, just say so, and I will do my best to demo it. Let's make this, sure. So I'm gonna have these cheek layers kind of overlap. It's only through like trial and error, or like just doing a bunch of pieces in this way, that I kind of know what pieces of my artwork need to be separate layers. There's no like, I don't know, specific rule on that. Yeah. Cheeks. How do you usually get people to the stream normally? You just sent me the link, but how would I find out of another one? I do this, so the streams are on the 4th Friday of every month, and they're always at the same time at 12 p.m. Eastern. On the Happy Faces on Everything website, there's a link there where it tells you when the next one's coming up, and you can see some highlights, and you can like follow on YouTube and stuff. You can also, on YouTube, you can set a reminder, so that you'll get a reminder of when it's going to happen. All this being said, I might switch over to Twitch. It's something I'm thinking about doing, in which case that might actually be even easier, because Twitch will just send you an email when I start streaming. But regardless of if I'm doing it there or here, that's the time I'm doing right now. It's the once a month. And might increase frequency, I don't know. The more I do the streams, the more I'm enjoying them, and the more you guys seem to enjoy them, so I'm kind of leaning towards doing more. And Twitch just seems like better. Jetpack's like I've done some Twitch as well, and I think I prefer it. That's part the discoverability is part of it too. Like, there's no way for anybody to just kind of hop onto YouTube Live, or there's no easy way for someone to hop onto YouTube Live and find me. It's only through like sending out the newsletters, which is another way for me to tell you guys when these are happening. So when I send out the newsletters, or people know when this is happening, that people can find out about it. Whereas in Twitch, like, I get posted in the creative channel, and then anybody just casually browsing it can find the stream. So I think there's a lot more opportunity for more people to join. And then also I think it's actually just easier for you guys to be notified, because Twitch just works better in that way. How did you find Twitch, Blake? Easier for me to secretly watch when I'm at work. Well, Jenny, there also is like apparently a way to stream on both at the same time, but that's some like other service that I would have to set up, and I know I'm just trying to keep this easy. All right, so you really liked Twitch, Blake. So the teeth's gonna be super easy. I should also mention on the note of sketches and like drawings before you start this, the more refined your drawing is, the easier this is going to be. Like, some people have very, very rough sketches, and depending on the kind of art you do and I guess just your comfort level, having a very loose sketch can be very hard when you're making the final. I usually like to redraw my drawing several times before I actually get into the final piece, because it just, all the decisions about where things go are decided, and it is easier. I'm going to show you what I mean in just a second. Okay, so there's our teeth. Again, these are all live shapes, so I can continue to mess around with them if I want. If I just take a moment and go to the drawing and I open this up, you're going to see that I have a lot of, so this is the one that, let me just link these so that I know which ones I'm dealing with. So you can see there's a lot of different versions. Oh, there's some eyeballs. I think I had more than this, but maybe I deleted it. This also started off as a sketch in my sketchbook, which I don't have here, but I probably redrew this thing 3 or 4 times before I got to what we have today. Uh-oh. Okay, cool. I need to get back on it. Can those teeth be edited separately? Yes, Patrick. For one, if I really want to, I could separate them back into different layers. I don't know the best way to do that right now, but I think there's better than I know. But I can, let's see, where's the teeth? I can just click on it and I can move it around. See? So this one's totally editable. I can add more stuff to it if I want. It just makes it a lot easier when it's all on one layer, because when I want to change the color of all the teeth at once, I just click on the shape and choose the color I want. So that's why I like to put it on one layer, and it's just easier for me to manage one layer than 12. Merging works with multiple strokes too. I don't know what you mean. Hey guys, let me know if the internet died or not. I think it's good. It looks good. I just want to make sure, like, I don't know, people didn't get booted or something. And Patrick, I don't know exactly what you mean by multiple strokes. You know what it's like when you're in high school and you look at college as this sterile, intense, difficult learning environment, and when you get there, you just learned it's another version of high school. I feel like that's Photoshop before you move into Illustrator. Yeah, I mean, there's so much overlap with the two. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, coming from Illustrator and like how like clean and precise you can be with things, it's like, oh, Photoshop, you can't do that as much, but you totally can, and it's not even as hard. It takes a while to get used to it, just like, you know, getting used to any new piece of software, a new tool or anything, but I definitely, yeah, Blake, I agree with you. I love Photoshop now. I only really use Illustrator now if what I'm working on has to be a vector, and most of the times it does not. I just need to make my Photoshop files really big so they can scale like as much as I need them to. If it's like a logo or something that needs to be vector, then yeah, totally. Or the project demands it, then absolutely. But I'm really getting comfortable in Photoshop, and it just gives me a lot of freedom. Patrick, I don't know. Maybe. If they did, then I'm glad that they added these tools. But I just recently started to like really push into Photoshop. I said maybe over the course of the past year, I've been like slowly transitioning into Photoshop, and now I'm like fully in it. Do you run into issues with PSBs? Are those brushes? I don't know the file extension. The tiger has arrived. Photoshop big format. I can't say I really worked with that before, so I don't know. Sorry. Files over 2 gigs. How big is this file? Or some of my previous ones. I never worked like super big. I have worked some pretty big files in the past, and things have just gotten really, really slow, and the process just takes longer than it should. But I recently got like a new computer that's pretty powerful, so I have a bit more peace of mind in working on large files. But like, I know, like what I'm working on right now, this is 3000 by 3000 pixels, 300 dpi. So it's not like super big, but it's big enough that like, I'm gonna be able to do whatever I want to do with it. But let's get back to this. Hey, I kind of like just that. This kind of looks cool. I'm just gonna save that as a composition layer. I also like to just kind of save, every once in a while, just kind of save a composite layer. You can do that with Control-Alt-Shift-E or Command-Option-Shift-E if you're on a Mac, and it just creates a layer of everything that you're looking at right away. But I just kind of like how this looks, so I'm going to keep that. The drawings go back down to like there. We'll save it. 18 by 24, 600 dpi. Yeah, so Jetpack's working a lot bigger than I am. And I know because you do a lot of print stuff, so that makes sense. And you have no problems with it, right? I mean, I don't know what you're working on. Like, I think that makes a big difference. But yeah, never. Cool. Oh, geez. Bigger eye. I don't know what the part of the eye is called, so this is the bigger eye part. I feel like I should know. If you guys know, feel free to share. This is the, I guess, the pupil. And I'm just gonna make it a different color. Okay, this needs to go underneath. Oh. All right, you're gonna see another little trick I like to do sometimes. Let me turn off the drawing. I kind of want this eyelid to cover the inside of the eye. Eyeball, iris, pupil. Okay, so the iris. Seems like you guys know this. I'm gonna rename it so I sound smarter. So if I want the eyelid to cover the iris, I could probably like grab that shape and then paste it into this layer, or I can just use a mask. So what I'm gonna do is go to the eyeball here. I'm gonna make a selection of it, and then I'm just going to use, I gotta unlock it first, and I'm just gonna add a mask there. So one of Photoshop's handy features is all the masking you can do, and that's just a nice little quick way for me to do that. I'm also just gonna change this color so it's easier for me to see. And pupil too. Let's make the pupil that color. It's whispering. Taylor, yeah, it sounds like, I know, it's not, I guess it, are you on like a really powerful machine? Like you might be just like, I know, it just sounds to me like you might be like running low on memory on your computer, like on RAM. And maybe that's Photoshop's way of still allowing you to like work on stuff when that happens. That's my guess. Sounds like Jetpacks is better equipped to answer this though. Okay, and I think the last shape that I want to do is just all of the pupils for these floating eyeballs. And just so you guys know, because it's very important, beholders have 8 eye stalks. Spectators have 4 eye stalks. That's how you can tell them apart. I know that's really important, and you guys run into that all the time, so I thought I'd save you the trouble. I don't know that this part of the eye is called an iris, but I do know the eye count of these, I think they're called like, I think they're monstrosities, like is their creature class or something? Or abominations or something like that. Moving on. Pupils. Dun, dun, dun. 1. 2. Once again, if you have any questions, just let me know. If you're just joining in, feel free to say hi. And I'd be curious to know, those of you that join in for all the streams, what do you think about what we're doing today as opposed to what we normally do, which is I sit here, I draw random crap, and you mostly just tell me what to draw. Eyeballs, pupils. Oops. Okay. Bucket. There. Let's see. Also, guys, very important that you get one of these. It's not. It really isn't. In fact, it's kind of hot out today, so like my hand's getting kind of sweaty in this thing. But I guess it stops my like tablet from getting sweaty. Anyway, Also important for you to know. So at this point, actually I'm just going to clean up some of these shapes. Just because I want to. Okay. And this one's a little more angled than I'd like it to be. Okay. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, cool. Teeth are fine, everything else is mostly fine. No. I want to bring this in a bit. Ah, it's locked. It's a bit more even. Okay. So I think that's all the shapes that I'm going to create, which is considerably less than a lot of the pieces I've been doing recently, so this was a good decision for today. And so we're going to move on to the next step. So the next step is going to be figuring out the color scheme, because up to this point, like I've mentioned, we are just using whatever colors that are easy to see. And so now I'm just going to kind of decide on some rough colors, and then I'm going to do I usually do like a lot of color studies. I'm probably only going to do like a few quick ones, because I could literally spend hours just trying different color combinations. And yeah, so I'm going to keep it simpler today, but hopefully it'll give you a sense of this next step. Blake, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I'm glad you showed up, and hope it was helpful. I'll see you on the other streams. For this next part, I'm just going to give you an example of, maybe this one I can show you. So I did like a black and white study first for this one, as you can see, just to make sure like the value relationships are kind of on point. Value is way more important than color, so that means that like things are clearly defined in black and white. Things work in grayscale before you put color on. So that's what I did here, and then I used that to kind of do some color studies. I don't think I did a whole lot of them though in this one. I think I mostly knew what I wanted to do. Yeah, this might be a bad example. But if I think some of those mage characters I did a lot of studies for them. Let's try the Thunder Mage. So this character here, after I created like the main shapes, okay, yeah, so you can see I went through a lot of different color options for this guy. So after I made all the main shapes like at the way that we are with the Beholder right now, I kind of cycle through a lot of different color combinations to find out, as you can see, like how I wanted him to look. So a lot of just exploring, and then as I kind of started to find ones that I liked, I would see this is starting to get closer to what I actually chose, but then from there I kind of refined it a bit. Refined, and yeah, that's my final one right there. So that's how I did the color studies for this guy. So we are now going to do that with our Beholder friend. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a background layer. I'm going to skip the value study, but I'll check the value here and there. And what I mean by checking the value is just quickly transitioning into black and white like this. You can see right here, like everything is kind of toned down here. And so that tells me that like the value relationships between the colors I've currently chosen isn't too good. Especially between like you can barely see the difference between the background and like the body here. So that's no good. So what I'm gonna do, so a lot of these shapes are actually going to be like the same color. So that's going to make my life a lot easier. So the chin, gotta unlock this stuff. So the chin, in the mouth. Oops. Upper mouth. Cheeks. So right now I'm trying to break this down into, I'm just trying to separate it into like the few colors that I actually need. Because the less colors I have to work with right now, the easier it's going to be for me to decide on a color scheme, and then I can always add supplementary colors once that's kind of refined. The pupils, let's just say it's some sort of dark green, and let's say it's the same for these. Let's meet the iris. That color, and then we have the red there. And so I might just stick with this for our basic starting place. So right now here we got like, what, 3 colors plus white? Or wait, no, 4 plus white. So from there I'm gonna make another composite layer. So now everything's just on one flat layer, and it's gonna make that really easy for me to just play around and, you know, just fill in random things. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna make color studies, a new folder. Let me know if I'm going too fast or if you need me to re-explain anything. Because this is one of those things where like I've been doing this so much recently that it's just kind of autopilot in certain ways, and I wanna make sure that you guys know what I'm doing. So, as far as colors go, I think it would be fun to make him green, but I also could see him as like a nice purple, so I'm going to start with those. See, I like that. And then this color here could be like a bit pinker than it is, so something like that. I like. Ours could be pink too. No, that should be a yellowy orange because that'll contrast well with the purple. So you see, I'm really just exploring at this point. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a good color there. Yeah, Pat, I just flattened everything just to explore colors. I still have all like the live shapes and things in the artwork folder. And so once I find colors I like, I'm going to go back and just apply the colors that I've decided on. But I think the step should be pretty quick for us today because I don't have a lot of colors. When I have a lot that I'm working with, this usually takes a fair bit of time. But I can just do that. Like already, like I think it's kind of working. This is just a value check. So this is Control Y or Command Y. It's always good to toggle between black and white just to see how that's looking, because that's a good indication that your colors are working well. And I remember, I know sometimes it doesn't work unless you have like your proof setup has to, I don't remember what happened. Sometimes your Control Y or whatever doesn't do the same thing. So yeah, I don't remember what I had to do to fix mine. I think I got like help from, I think it was actually like you guys and Melissa that helped fix it for me. Let's change the background. One thing you can do too is like just select the whole background. Control U brings up hue saturation, and then from here you can just kind of keep playing around with it. So the reds, I could get like another like pinky color. No. think yellow, the yellowy orange is kind of good. Green could be kind of fun. Something like that could work. I do kind of like the yellowy green. It's like, I'm thinking like an orange or a yellowy green. Yellowy green, let's do that. I already see what the problem is going to be with this though. Is like now we're really losing the eyeball color there, that white. You can definitely see that if I switch over to just the grayscale. You actually completely lose the circle here. So that tells us that that is a bad value relationship. So should these be orange? Figure it out later. So this would mean that I would either need to darken these or darken the background. I think I'll probably darken the background. Just means we can't get that vibrant yellowy orange that we had, or that yellowy green, but that's okay. I might go back to like an orangey color. I don't know if you guys can hear this like chanting going on outside. We live across the street from a high school. So this is probably not too exciting of a, I don't know, to watch. But it is important. At any point, if I like one of these, all I gotta do is just Command J or Control J will duplicate the layer, and then I can start playing around with a different one. I kind of like that. Okay. So now I'm going to do another color editing technique. This is something I think I've showed on the stream before, and this is also something that I have I have a class on it, the Level Up Your Colors class. This is one of the techniques that I do, and that is you kind of take a color scheme that you already kind of like, has some things working well for it, and you start adding some adjustment layers. So levels is one that I like to use a lot, and what we're trying to do here is add like overall adjustments that are just going to harmonize the colors better. So it's going to be something like adding red to everything, adding blue to everything, or taking away blue from everything. If you're doing that to everything in the piece, then it's going to make the colors work better together. I'm just going to switch sides here, and I'm going to switch to the blue channel. If I just start to pump up the blue a bit, you're going to see like the colors kind of harmonize a bit better. I actually kind of like the blue of the pupils there. It's kind of cool. So that's one option. In fact, I could even make a composite layer of that. But let's go back. What about if I just pumped a lot of green? Not so much. I took away some green. Nah. Some red. I find usually like adding a bit of red and some blue is like my favorite. How's that compare to the other one I did? I think I like the other one. So yeah, so there's another version here. Usually when we do this, we lose some contrast. You can probably see that in comparison between these two. Actually, it's not a big difference. That's pretty cool. Sweet. But some other changes we can do is just open up brightness and contrast and change that around a bit. So maybe the brightness is fine, but I want a bit more contrast. So I can push those up a bit. See, that's helping a bit, but I'm losing the iris. So I might even just go and do another composite layer and manually change this color here. So I'm just increase the saturation and the darkness. Let's try that. So that's kind of looking good. I'm gonna try another version, but with a different background. So again, I'm not gonna do too much of this because, as you can see, you can just do this forever. And I want to make sure you guys get to see other parts of the process. But as typically happens, I'm not like crazy thrilled, or like I'm not 100% with this yet. Again, if you have any questions, yeah, feel free to throw them at me. Color studies can be real downer. I find it goes like either way. Like either they're like pretty fun, and you get like a lot of cool stuff, or it is like you say, it's like kind of frustrating. Oh, my opacity's down. That explains some things. I think I'll probably stop there and we can kind of decide which direction we want to go. Thanks, Taylor. Honestly, I think it's just like if you want to be better with colors, it helps to have these kind of techniques that I'm mentioning, but it's also just like just spend a lot of time with it. Like that's, if there is a secret, then I think that's it. It's just keep trying different combinations, keep exploring. Like I said, I can spend hours just on what we're doing right now. And I know maybe a couple of years ago when I'd make something, I would spend, 10 or 15 minutes on color. Like I just put a lot more time into it now, and I think that's why it pays off. Again, if there was a second secret, it would be to look in black and white, because it just tells you like whether it's going to work or not. Right, so an hour's passed. I didn't even realize it. And we're gonna keep going because I wanna show you guys the next step. So I'm really quickly just gonna choose some of these that I like. So maybe. So we'll say that one, no. I think these three. Okay. All right, this is where I'm looking to you guys. Cast your votes. I think they equally have, yep, the values work fine. Yeah, I'd be curious to think what you guys think. We got a vote for B. Bam, one for C. I don't know, like there's not a whole lot of you guys here, so it's the second B. I think it's probably gonna be B, unless we can somehow get another C or, yeah. I'm just gonna wait a second. Use this as a moment to take a break before we jump into the next part. Place your votes. Another C, all right. Pat, you can only vote once. All right, you know what? I'm gonna break the tie. I like C. So that's what we're doing. Okay. Let me just quickly see if I can just get that bit more set. Nah. Bit more green. Nah, we'll just keep it as it was. Stop changing things here. So now I'm just going to steal this, put it up there, and now we get to bring back our shapes and just apply the colors that we've chosen. So cheeks is purple, the head is purple, the pupil is a darker purple, so are these, this is a pink, purple, purple, oops, green, and that is that. So now we have all of our shapes still live if we want to do anything with them, but we're probably not going to. We got our colors decided, and so we are going to move into the next step, which is line work. So as you'll see with this guy here, yeah, there's a bunch of lines. We're going to draw those lines. So usually what I do is I just create one layer and I call it lines. And that's where I'm going to do pretty much the majority of the line work. I'm going to lock everything else so I don't mess with it. I'm going to save because that's a thing that we should do. And I'm going to bring back open my drawing. And so these are the lines that I'm going to be pulling from. So for the line work, I am going to be using my first brush. This whole piece is going to use 2 brushes. First one is Too Smooth to Be Forgotten. It's from Kyle Webster's Mega Pack, which is, if you own Creative Cloud, it's a free download. So you can add all the brushes. This one's called Too Smooth to Be Forgotten. I like to use it for line work. You cannot see that because it's the wrong color. Turn off smoothing. So this is what I like to use for my line work. There's lots of great options out there. I think I was talking about this last month too. When it comes to brushes, just find a couple that you like and stick to them. It's very overwhelming to get something like Kyle Webster's Mega Pack and be overwhelmed by the hundreds of brushes you could use. Again, this piece is going to use 2. At most, I use like 3 at once, but just find a couple that you really like. For the line work, I'm just going to start in black, and I'm going to do all the line art in black. And then once I've done that, I'm going to start coloring those strokes that I made to make life easier. So, this is where it's helpful to kind of rotate my canvas so that I can kind of draw things how I want them. I think for this line here, actually, I'm just gonna change the colors on the cheek quickly, just because I want the line to follow this shape. And if you're like me and you don't have the steadiest hands digitally, you can use smoothing, which kind of just like gives you the illusion of a steady hand. All right, that's a line there. There's another line. I'm going to I'm not necessarily going to use all of these lines, but you'll see a bunch. I'm going to go back to the purple. I'm going to target the upper mouth, just because I want to follow these lines. And as we're into like a new section, once again, just let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'm just going to be working away here. So at this point, I would like to mention that This is where it's really helpful to have a strong line drawing when you start into a thing, because everything's all figured out for me. I know where to put these lines. I don't gotta make a bunch of decisions or anything. It really is just kind of following what I drew earlier. I can put this back, unlock the chin, and make sure my lines go along it. There also are ways to have your brush strokes follow a path. That's something I cover in my Illustrator and Photoshop class, but I'm not going to go over it right now unless I actually need to use it. Let's go to the drawing. So already we can kind of see things, you know, see the line art really helping the piece. So I'm going to keep going with it. And sometimes I'll just like add shapes in here too. Okay. Bring the smoothing a bit. Okay. I'm going to take smoothing all the way off, and I'm just going to add in some of these other elements that you're seeing. These are kind of like scales. So beholders some of them are like scaly, some are like slimy, some are like fleshy, rocky. They kind of run the gamut, so I decided mine would be like a scaly one, because he had this kind of like a lizard look to him. These, yeah, with the scales I'm going to be a little less, a little less precious with how perfect the lines are. I've spent enough time working in Illustrator trying to make every line perfect that I don't need to do that anymore. I should also mention, like, this is where you gotta kind of need to have a tablet. It doesn't have to be like a fancy tablet display, although like what I'm using, but it does, I find, make a big difference. But up until like a couple months ago, I've been exclusively using like this small little Wacom Bamboo, or yeah, one. It's quite old and the drivers barely are still relevant for it, but it worked. So I don't think you have to get something crazy, especially when you're just earlier on, but if you're doing a lot of digital art like I am, it pays to get a good tool. Sure. I was gonna do the lines for the mouth, but I am. I haven't heard from you guys in a while. How's it going? This is helpful. Are you still there? Helpful, multitasking, watching, and working. Cool. Well, I'm glad it's working for you. I mean, this is something I want to get done anyway, so I'm happy just to keep on doing it. Apartment tour. That'll be a little hard to do with the webcam. But Pat, you're coming over tomorrow, right? So you can wait till then. This is your sneak peek. You can kind of see that we have a couch and a table, and there's a plant back there, and I know how much you like plants. I don't like that line either. How's prep for the move coming, Pat? Line's okay. It'll do. Doesn't have to be perfect. That could be a lot better. That's okay. I can always fix that later. Oh, it's really bad. Sorry guys, you're gonna watch me do that line again. Still planning logistics of packing, but Jeanette got an offered a sweet position in New York for 3 months instead, so we're discussing that. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. When would that position start? And like, what is it? That's better. I'll take that. Oops. July would start. I mean, don't you already have like your place and everything booked in Montreal, or would you just maybe shorten your stay in Montreal and then go to New York? be thicker than that. Let's go up to 50. Yeah, it's better. Actually, I'm going to do this part on a separate layer and just throw it behind my objects. So I'll call it eye stalks. That way I can just do that. Do that. It can be shortened, so there would be a refund on everything but a month's rent. Oh yeah, you have to figure out visas. That is true. And then what would you do? Because like that would be for Jeanette, but would you be able to get a visa as well? Let's back down to 35. Googling that right now, yeah. I mean, hey, it'd be cool if you guys go stay in New York for a while. Yeah, I guess it'd just be a matter of figuring out the logistics. And if not, like, Montreal's still pretty great. It's not a bad alternative. Solo in Montreal. Oh, is that what you would do? Otherwise, if Jeanette went off to New York, would you just stick around in Montreal? Alright, you guys about to see another little trick here. I'm going to use the selection tool and just select all of these gaps. There we go. And then I have an action set up here that expands the selection and then fills in my selection. So it expands because otherwise, like if you ever try to use the fill tool on some brush work, you usually get this like little ugly line between the fill and the brush strokes. So I'm trying to not have that happen. And I have this expand 3 and fill. Bam. So now those are all fill. You can bring the eyeballs back. So we are something like that. I'm just going to do one final line art layer. I'll call it more lines. And I like to just add little, like, I don't know, nicks and scratches and stuff like that, just because I do. So I could put like some little, you know, scratches on his face in different places. You know, kind of like some things have happened, you know. Maybe even a couple of like marks on his teeth could be kind of cool. Something like, I immediately do not like any of that. So it's gonna go. But I'm sure I could like scratch some of his teeth up or something. I don't know, sure. It's weird to think there'd be scratches on the eyeballs, but I'm doing it. I'm removing it. I don't like it anymore. Okay. There's that, and then I know in my drawing I had some like line, like some movement lines. I'm just gonna see how those work. I think it could work. Yeah, so we're like a half an hour over. So for those of you who have been able to stay and have some fairly good attention spans, I hope you're enjoying this. And it's really starting to, you know, come together. Oh, maybe I'll just, again, I think I'm still gonna do a bit more, because my plan is to have this piece finished today. So right now I don't really see much of a difference in me going offline or just staying here and continuing to do this. Dennis, I'm glad you're liking it. Yeah, I am also having a good time. So. I could do some like, I could do some pupil lines. We'll see. Maybe I'll try that afterwards and see how that works. It's really easy to go overboard with some detail, so I'm gonna try and not have that happen. So at this point, I'm just gonna leave the lines as they are. And what I'm gonna do now, for one, like, this is kind of nice. Like, this could be the piece right here. It could be done. I'm going to continue on and do it in the style that I mentioned, but this isn't a bad place to stop. Like, it just flat colors and line work, especially if you're doing like printing or something. Like, you could do, yeah, like you could do like silkscreen or something like that with something like this, something this simple. I am now going to start coloring in the line work, as you can see with this guy again. Some of these lines are green, some of them are purple. Yeah, so just gonna mix it up a bit. So the time being, I'm just gonna turn that one off. and I'm just going to focus on these lines. So I don't want them to be as harsh as they are right now. So I'm probably going to use this purple for a lot of it. Right now I'm using lock transparent pixels. That's lock transparent pixels. That's this option right here. And so it just means that I'm only going to draw on top of what's present on that layer. So most of it I think is going to be this purple. In fact, I could probably just, can I just fill the whole thing? Edit, fill, foreground color. So I'll start off just by filling that. I think that actually kind of works. And let's just experiment with like maybe using some of this pink. Like if I wanted to use the pink there. I don't know if I like that. So we'll just stick with that. These eye stalks, I'm going to change their color. I could just make it the normal purple. Could also use the dark purple. Probably better to do that one. Something like that. Pink's no good. Okay. Bring up these extra lines, and I think I am also going to, I think it's just going to be this purple maybe for everything. So like, I don't know how it works. Edit, fill, foreground color. Maybe not the movement lines. I think those will change. So I think what I'll do for that is I'll grab a color similar to the background. I don't know if I want it to be lighter or if I want it to be darker. Probably a bit darker. Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm actually going to go back to the line work, and I'm just going to get a different color here. For that little piece. In fact, I think I want to fill that in. And then use this. Yeah, I'd rather something like that, I think. I'll stick with that. I'm tempted to I'm gonna try and see what it's like if I actually fill in these scales and just lighten them up. You'll see I kind of duplicated the line layer, so I could try this without removing the other version, because the other version already looks pretty good. So I'm going to select all of this and then use my action that expands and fills the selection. Okay, it's the color I want. Actions, go. So that's obviously too much, but I could probably, I don't know, do something like lighter maybe. You can add a little bit more pink to it. Yeah. That's kind of neat. We'll see how that works. I mean, it's kind of neat. I think I like it. If I really want to, I could even create an adjustment layer. So what I'm going to do is actually create a hue saturation adjustment layer with that selection. And so now when I change these settings, it's only going to change those things there. So I can kind of play around with it and try some different things out. Yeah, just see what would look nice. I don't want to stand out too much, I think. I don't know, maybe what I have is fine. If anything, just tone them down a bit. Like that. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay. So it's gonna be lines with new scales. Okay, do I want to add new lines to the eyes? Not really. I'm gonna add some texture to it. I always add some more lines after I've done that. Let's see, more lines too. So I'm just gonna see if I can do something neat. Here, like, put that behind the pupil. That's not terrible. Actually, I'll just, oops. Behind the pupil, clip it to the iris. Just call it iris lines. Okay. And let's see if there's anything else I want to do with them. Maybe I don't like them. Okay guys, the next step would be to add texture. I'm not gonna do that. I'm already 45 minutes over, and yeah, I'm starting to fade. So I'm gonna leave this here. I'm gonna finish it up later today, and then I will post it sometime next week. You can see the final. I plan on doing a class based on this very process, so there'll be a lot more information there. You're always free to email me if you have any questions. And other than that, I hope you enjoyed the stream, and thanks for coming to hang out. This was another great stream, and I think we got through a lot, which is really great. And we did get to do something that wasn't just doodling, which was kind of nice. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. This will be published sometime today to YouTube, so you can review it anytime you want. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. So how do I stop this? See ya.